So I've lived with cystic fibrosis for my whole life. I was diagnosed when I was 3 months old. I was very poorly at the time, my mum tells me. But back then, so in the early 90s, cystic fibrosis was maybe more difficult to diagnose, and so it wasn't a straightforward process. And unfortunately, I spent the first 3 months of my life very poorly. But so going on, so obviously now we're 31 years later, cystic fibrosis has affected me in many different ways throughout different times of my life. I was very well looked after by my mum, but I always did have to take lots of tablets. I had to eat more food because my pancreas wasn't working properly. I would sometimes have to have hospital stays and always having regular hospital appointments.
There's currently about 11,000 people with cystic fibrosis in the UK, and it is the UK's most common life-threatening inherited condition. So what happens is people inherit a gene from their mum and their dad, and if there's a variation on that gene, it means you can't make a protein that allows water in and out of cells, basically. So you end up with thick, sticky secretions in lots of different organs. The main one that people think about is the lungs, but it does affect people's pancreas, affects their bowels, joints, muscles. So it really can be a really difficult condition and a lifelong condition.
So alongside two other women, Jean and Polly, I've decided to take part in an Atlantic row. So next January, we will leave Lanzarote and we will row 3,200 miles across the Atlantic Ocean over to Antigua. It'll be unassisted, which means we will have everything we need to survive on our ocean rowing boat, and we won't see people until we get to Antigua. So that's what, and we think it'll take us about 60 days to do the crossing.
And Sophie's been brilliant because she's been involved in new research trials as well. And so she's seen some of the benefit of these new therapies that are coming. So it's a really exciting time, and cystic fibrosis has changed, and there's lots of new opportunities for people living with cystic fibrosis. And it's brilliant that Sophie's kept herself well and still keeping herself well and embracing this new challenge that she's got.